This is the concierge, sir.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Concierge Confidential. I'm your host, Brian Ortega, and in today's episode, a little mismatch about a bunch of different things, but overall, we're going to be talking about the best places to watch World Cup games here in the United States, but specifically here in Las Vegas. But World Cup is in the United States. It's actually awesome seeing all these different countries sort of experiencing the different parts of our wonderful country. And we're going to talk a little bit about that, and then also like the best places to watch the games, because watching it like amongst people is definitely like an experience. I would say watching a game with other Americans is kind of an interesting thing, and I have some thoughts. And on that subject, I'm also going to update you on a couple of places that I visited and my thoughts on line dancing, which if you followed me over the weekend, I have some thoughts about. So that'll be coming up next. Okay, let's go ahead and jump into the episode, everybody. So let's kind of just recap kind of like what I've done over the weekend. So over the weekend, I ended up going to Stoney's North 40, which is on the north side of town. And I'm going to say this now. And apologies to anybody who listens to this podcast that lives in like the northern part of Las Vegas or like near the mountains. Why do you want to live there? Like, I get like it's much cheaper to live in that part of town because of the housing prices, but there's a reason, because it's so far away from everything. It literally took me 40 minutes to get there. 40 minutes. And that was with zero traffic. It takes such a long time to get to the north part of town. There's nothing out there. And the people are also just different, like depending on what you're looking for. See, the thing is like I like to go to the Strip. I like to go even downtown. That's where I like to go. If you're in the north part of town, you must not ever leave your house. It's just like not worth it to drive from that part of town to anywhere else that isn't like Summerlin. Like Summerlin is probably like the furthest you'll go, but it is so far away. So then I get to Stoney's North 40, thinking that it's going to be like a little bit different, because there is a Stoney's in Town Square, which I've been a lot of times. And honestly, it's a great place to go like when you're like a senior in college, like when you just turned 21 or 22, or you're like a younger 20-year-old and you're like, hey, like let's go to Stoney's, and like, you know, it's fun. When you get there, and I'm saying this to anybody who likes line dancing. Line dancing is the most ridiculous thing ever created. I don't have a problem with people who like to dance. And this is going to sound, this is one of like the more like misogynistic takes that I have, and I'm saying it on a pod, is that like line dancing is like a female or girl activity, or people who are, you know, doing dancing for exercise. I think is great, you know, like for older people. I just can't get behind line dancing. The music isn't good. Like I guess it's fun to do, like if you want to learn the steps, but I don't know. It just doesn't feel like a thing that I like to do. Like, and again, like it's not centered on things that I like to do. I can totally appreciate people who like doing things that I'm not into, but like the music sucks. Like, let's just boil it down to like the music sucks when you go to line dancing. And if you're not the one line dancing, you're just watching other people do it, having a beer. And the thing is, like, I like to go to country bars to listen to country music, and you don't get that when you go to country bars, man. Like, Stoney's music is probably like the worst music. That's why I like going to places like Jason Aldean's. Old Red is really good, because they're like they're like country honky tonk bars where you're going there, you're gonna have a drink, you're gonna chill out, listen to some music. That's why I go to country bars. I know a lot of people go to country bars to dance and whatever, like, you know, do the line dancing thing. That's Stoney's. It's just not my thing. I just needed to voice my opinion. And it's like, nobody needs to know my opinion, but you're listening to the podcast, so that's what it is. But overall, it's fine. Like, if you wanted to like a review of Dallas North 40, it's not worth going, personally speaking. Just because like you can find so many better places like on Las Vegas Boulevard or downtown. Specifically on Las Vegas Boulevard, you have Jason Aldean's, Ole Red. They have a new place opening up at the Flamingo, which is Luke Combs Bar. So they have a lot of places you can go, and they have Rhythm and Riff, which is over at Mandalay Bay. So I know locals, like that's your thing. You want to go up to the north part of town, but it's just like going north is just does not work for me. I live like kind of near the M Resort, which is south. So going over there, it's a huge ordeal. So just wanted to let you guys know that. So moving on, the other thing that I experienced, I actually ended up going to Sartiano's, which is located at the Wynn Hotel. It's an Italian steakhouse located right next to Zero Bond, which both of these are actually connected, but they are not connected because Zero Bond, you have to be a member or friends with a member to be able to go into Zero Bond. It's a members-only club. But Sartiano's, you can definitely walk into. It's very dark, very moody, and it has a beautiful patio that overlooks the Wynn Golf Course, which is definitely worth the price of admission. I went and just had a cocktail. I ended up having an old fashioned, their signature old fashioned they had there. Had sort of like the cinnamon taste to it. My thing with Wynn bars in particular, except Delilah, of course, but Wynn bars specifically. What are we doing with the dried fruit? I want real fruit. Like I want the lemon peel. I want the orange peel. I don't want like the dried inside part of the orange. Like I want the citrus, man. Hate dried fruit. So that was only negative thing was like I just hated that they had dried fruit as their garnish. Let's get our shit together, man. Come on, Wynn. Better than that. But they had wonderful meatballs. You get like 3 or 4 meatballs in like the appetizer portion, and they also come with this great toast. Oh my God, it's so good. The meatballs are out of this world. Absolutely phenomenal. I did want to try the pasta, but I was like hitting multiple places that night, so I didn't want to like, spend too much money at one spot. After Sartiano's, by the way, is beautiful. It's great for a date. It's great for like a get together once you get into the main room. The bar, the only pushback I have on the bar is that the bar is not in like the restaurant. It's basically like right when you walk in. So I think it's supposed to keep people away from the main restaurant, but the lounge is kind of cool. Like it's kind of like a weird sized kind of thing. There's lots of like nooks and crannies. I believe they have lots of private dining space because there are lots of doors as you walk to the main dining room, which is like sort of like this cavernous, sort of like a cellar. It kind of feels like you're in a wine cellar in Napa. It's very dark, very moody, a lot of wood paneling. But yeah, lots of things on the menu. The steaks are kind of expensive, but the pastas look very good. And that's probably what I would go for next time I went, is any of the pastas, because they do look quite delicious. No, I did not have the $130 tagliatelle, which with I think lobster is also what it is. So is it fettuccine? It's one of the two. So as we move forward, they do have deals now. For those of you wondering, this popped up and I wanted to share it with everybody. If you are coming to Vegas now and through Labor Day, or now through July 5th, which is this week. So if you are coming this week, if you are going to go to the Sphere, you can get 15% off tickets for either The Wizard of Oz or Kenny Chesney. And that's USA 250 is the promo code. This is not a paid ad. This honestly just came across my email as I was kind of doing the podcast, and I wanted to share it with you guys. So this is great. If you guys want to go see The Wizard of Oz, getting 50% off is not bad. 50% off Kenny Chesney is, fine. I don't know. I actually might look into that because there were actually some cheaper tickets available, and might have to hit up Kenny Chesney this week. So we'll see. Anyways, so moving on to what I wanted to talk about, which is the World Cup. So the World Cup is taking the United States by storm, obviously. And people always are saying it's like, oh, like we never knew we had like great stuff here, which we don't. Like we didn't know that. And that like all Europeans see is bad stuff on the news, which then people like turn that into like the news is lying to you. The news is not lying to you. I would say that the news is actually telling you what's happening like in the government and like what they are doing. And also like the things that reciprocate from that. But I would say the biggest thing, and that's for a different podcast, but I would say the biggest thing is that people are coming and seeing the people of the United States, because that's what I think makes the United States wonderful, is all the different people from all the different parts of the nation. And they're all so unique and so different, and our country looks, it's just such a vast, diverse place with the different topography, with the different people that live here and the communities. And I think that is what makes it awesome. I think it's really great that people think like Waffle House is cool, because I think Waffle House is cool. So I'm really glad that it's not just us that think it, or me that thinks that Waffle House is dope. Because I do go to a lot of like fancy things, but all of that is obviously, very touristy. It's very, and like touristy for like, luxury tourists. What I really enjoy is that a lot of people that are visiting the United States, they're doing all of the stuff that are like everyday stuff, like IHOP or like Buc-ee's. Like our gas stations have become like this great thing. So, and then the other really great thing to hear out of that is that the people of the United States have been really nice to people from that are visiting. Which I think like we really are. I think we're really always I think it's from a genuine place of curiosity from people from the U.S. I, for example, and people from Las Vegas and other touristy areas, I would say specifically Las Vegas, we get so many people from different countries, and we like hear their accents and talk to their stories. That's why I loved working on a tour bus, is you meet all these different people, British, Scottish, Irish, Australians, Germans, people from Brazil, even though I make jokes that Brazilians are like my least favorite groups of people. But I've met lots of Brazilians that I've like worked with, and they are wonderful people as well. And you learn so much by just talking to them. And I think that is what a lot of this is that like you get somebody from, let's just say like rural Tennessee or like rural Georgia or Alabama, or even Texas, like middle parts of Texas. They may have never like talked to a British person, or met like a German person or a Japanese person, like from those countries. And they actually just want to ask questions. They just want to know more about them, because you read stuff on the internet, but you really want to know those people on a great level, which is what I really appreciate living in Las Vegas, is that you meet so many different folks. You learn little sort of ins and outs and like vocabulary and customs. Like Vegemite definitely looks like the most disgusting thing in the world. But speaking to Australians, they love it. You just find that's the thing that they're into. So my favorite thing is that people love barbecue. Barbecue is very important. People just come here, and I think universally barbecue is the greatest American creation. So yeah, I really like that. So our style of barbecue, because yes, I know you can go to the Philippines or wherever and get that style of barbecue. Our barbecue, it's the shit. So, with that being said, let's talk about where you can watch the World Cup. So, I ended up watching it at the Beer Park, which that's located at the Paris Hotel. It's my favorite place to watch big sporting events. Just know that when we have the United States playing in any game, your bar will be absolutely packed. So you have to get there early. A lot of times you need a reservation. For the Beer Park, I ended up not sitting outside. I had to go inside to the indoor bar, which was first come, first serve. I watched about half of the game. It's just like, it was kind of like a lot of energy, but that's why you're there. But to me, the Beer Park is exactly what you're looking for. It's the summertime. You're having a beer. You're watching the soccer game. Beer Park is probably going to be the best bet for anybody trying to watch a game anywhere. So another really great location is if you end up going to the Bottled Blonde. Bottled Blonde is a great location because they have lots of TVs. Hopefully they figured out their TV situation. There's only like usually 1 or 2 games on at a time, so it's not that hard. I would say on like college and pro NFL Sundays and Saturdays, that's a tougher decision to make. I wouldn't trust them with that. Of course, you can always go to Circa, which does have like these big giant like watch parties, especially for the US, at the Stadium Swim. Stadium Swim is going to be a great place to watch any games. The sports book itself, they usually have like a wristband you have to buy to get into Stadium Swim. But again, a great option if you wanted to watch any of the games. Also, any sports books. Some of the sports books that I would highly recommend would be like Westgate. Westgate is a fantastic sports book on the Strip if you wanted to check it out. I would also recommend going over to the Mandalay Bay, of course, is one of my favorites. I would try Resorts World. Resorts World actually isn't too bad. They do have, because I don't really like dig their sports book, but usually during the middle of the day, even into like the early evening, they will open up the like country side of the bar where they have the TVs that roll down, and that's a good place to watch the games as well. They're pretty good with the TVs, so it's actually not a bad spot, like kind of like a low-key spot that you wouldn't think about, but actually really, really nice to watch. A couple other places on the Strip that I'd highly recommend. Tilted Kilt is really great, especially if you have like an Irish game, or I don't think Ireland's actually in anymore. So like an English fan base, that would be a great place to watch it, just because they have lots of TVs. It's gonna have that sort of pub feel, and of course, just like Americans, like we like to like go towards steakhouses in Europe. Europeans will gravitate towards pubs as well. If you want, I would also recommend Chayo Tacos, which is also on the Link Promenade. Link Promenade, low-key, great spot to watch any sporting event because they have lots of very easy places to walk into, very much like a pub crawl area. And that's actually probably a good like episode for another time, is like what are good club crawl spots where you can go in and out very quickly, because bar hopping in Vegas is actually very difficult to do if you don't go to the right resort or go to the right area of town. So I think that'll be a good like episode in a couple weeks. I think that's a good one, because from there you can end up going to the Tilted Kilt, like I just said. You can also go to Chayo Taco, which Chayo is going to be our Chayo Mexican, which is going to be a great place to go if you want to watch any like Mexico games, any Latin American countries. Is going to be a really good place to go, but specifically Mexico because they do Mexican cuisine. Also, they play like reggaeton on the inside as well. Also, right next to it is a little casino called O'Shea's, which is also a great spot to watch any games, like especially if there's only one game on, because they don't have that many TVs, but it is sort of like a large space. It's sort of like a party atmosphere, and they have a casino on the inside. That's actually kind of like a nice little thing to do. So as we kind of move through the rest of the Strip, let's just see how we're doing on time here. As we move towards the rest of the Strip, Fontainebleau, I don't know if I would go there. I mean, they have Tavern, but I'm not a huge fan of the Tavern sports books, so I would never really recommend them. Another option that I would recommend for you guys is if you end up going to the oh my goodness, what is the name of it? Jason Aldean's isn't bad. That is actually a nice little spot. But I would say as we kind of make our way down the Strip, we have Mandalay Bay, we have that one, Excalibur, MGM, there's really nothing there. I do like to stay sort of like in the central part of the Strip. I would never pay, this is like letting you guys know, I would never pay a sports book to sit anywhere. Unless it's like, Stadium Swim or Circus Sportsbook, where they like you kind of have to pay. Never for the World Cup specifically. Do not pay for sportsbook seating. It's 1,000% not worth it. So yeah, have I made my way through the entire Las Vegas Strip? Have I done it? Planet Hollywood, nothing really there. Paris's sportsbook is kind of meh. Yeah, I think I've kind of hit it. I mean, Caesar's Sportsbook is still phenomenal. It's a phenomenal place to watch the games. So I would highly recommend that. Yeah, I think I gave you guys all my good recs. So I think we'll just kind of stop there for the World Cup portion of it. We don't have lots of things. Also, people will keep asking why we did not have the World Cup in Las Vegas. So it's a couple different things. I believe when they were doing the bidding process for where to have the World Cup, or in their plan, is that the stadium for Las Vegas, Allegiant Stadium, was not completed yet. Like, they were very much the end of the construction process of Allegiant Stadium, and they needed to write it into, obviously they were coming up to the deadline. And one of the other things that we were not able to do, we didn't have the square footage of the field was not big enough to host one of the games. I believe it has to be a certain amount or certain length, a certain width, and our field did not hit those points. So I believe that was one of the reasons that we were not selected as one of the host cities. Which a lot of people are commenting on the host city, the final being in New York, which I think it's there's a lot of reasons for this. I would say one, it is in a time zone that is more friendly to Europe. That's kind of just the way that it goes. It happens at nighttime, which most of the time when you watch the games in the U.S. is that like that when they're in Europe. They're always like at 3:00, sort of like the Super Bowl. But yeah, it's kind of funny the way that happens. But again, it's just the way that it goes. But they do say the games in Mexico have been absolutely phenomenal, so that's really kind of cool to see. I had a friend who actually went. Her family like lives down there, and they were able to go to the game, and it looked great, and they had a really fantastic time. But yeah, so I would say at this point, if you are betting on games, because I'll give you my betting sort of tidbits on this, for those of you new to soccer. At this point, now that you're in the round of 32, you do have to advance for each game, because they just came out of pool play, obviously. So you were able to tie because they didn't go into overtime. So now it's much more similar to what you would experience for betting like a hockey game or something. But important to note that when you do make bets on soccer, you have to make sure that you say will advance, because that also includes them going into overtime. And then if they win in overtime, because if you picked, for example, like let's just say the U.S. is playing Bosnia, if they tie after 90 minutes and then go to overtime and the U.S. wins, you only win if you get the USA to advance. Because if you bet the USA in 90 minutes and it is 0-0, that is a loss. So it is very important to know how the betting works for that as well. They do allow you to do tie after 90 minutes, which is called a three-way bet. And then they also have where you can bet for them to advance, which that would be to win in any fashion. So in extra time or with penalty kicks. So just that's a important thing to keep in mind. So have I covered everything? Did I go everywhere? I did watch. This is a fun little postscript. I was able to watch the fireworks that were over the weekend from my work, from the 85th floor, where we're able to look out to one of the windows. And yes, when you're up that high, you can hear the fireworks and look out, and they sort of popping above you as well as at other properties. Really fantastic experience for sure. So make sure we'll probably do an episode on where to watch fireworks again, because of the 4th of July coming up, which is on a Saturday of all things. So it's a really, really important weekend in the U.S. So with that being said, thank you so much, everybody, for listening to the podcast. I really appreciate it. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me, Concierge Confidential _LV or Brian_Ortega26, and I will answer any of your questions. So again, thanks so much for listening, everybody. Have a good rest of your week. And remember, keep it confidential.